All right, today we're going to dive into something super useful, a tool for making way better decisions. It's called the Opportunity Evaluation Matrix. This comes from Stephen Wood, a business consultant who's been in the game for over 20 years. And it's all about helping you, well, methodically pick the real winners out of a whole sea of options. I mean, this quote really hits home, doesn't it? It's a feeling we've all had. You're just surrounded by ideas, opportunities everywhere, whether you're in a boardroom or just trying to figure out your own life. But the thing is, our resources, our time, our money, our energy, they're not infinite. And all that choice, it can just leave you completely paralyzed. So that's the big question, right? How do you actually pick the right path when you've got all these competing ideas swirling around? And everyone has an opinion. When your gut feeling just isn't cutting it anymore, that's when you need a system, a real approach to find the ideas that are actually worth your time. Okay, so let's start by looking at a problem that trips up so many organizations, and honestly, individuals too. It's this idea of decision derailment. And these symptoms, I bet they sound pretty familiar. You've got way too many ideas fighting for attention, your team can't agree on anything, and then of course company politics rears its ugly head. You've got those pet projects being pushed, or the loudest voice in the room wins, or maybe the most senior person just dictates the choice. And what happens? You end up wasting resources, taking action just for the sake of doing something, not because it was the smart, strategic move. So what's the fix? Well, that's where this tool comes in. It was designed by author Stephen Wood to bring some much-needed clarity, logic, and structure to exactly this kind of chaos. Okay, so what is the Opportunity Evaluation Matrix? At its core, it's a team-based tool that lets you systematically look at, compare, and rank a bunch of different opportunities. And the whole point is to find the ones that have the absolute highest upside with the lowest possible risk. It's about replacing those vague opinions and gut feelings with a real, fact-based conversation. The creator Stephen Wood really lays this all out in his book, Practical Tools to Grow Your Business. But this idea of really rigorous evaluation, it's a theme that runs through a lot of his work. You can see hints of it in books like The Money Tree and How to Make More Money Than You Know How to Spend. It's all about creating a consistent, repeatable process, so your team starts to learn instinctively what a truly good project really looks like. All right, let's get into how this actually works. And the process itself, it's just so beautifully structured and methodical. It's designed to take you from that messy jumble of competing ideas to a single, really confident decision. It's all broken down into 4 key steps. First, you get the right people in the room. Create that assessing team with diverse perspectives. Step 2, you just list everything out. Compile all the potential opportunities. Third, you narrow it down. You agree on which opportunities are actually worth assessing. And finally, step 4, the team gets to work scoring each one. It's all about making sure the evaluation is thorough and, super importantly, collaborative. Now, this scoring part is absolutely crucial. The team looks at each opportunity on 2 different scales, upside and risk. And each of those has 8 specific criteria. For upside, it's simple. A higher score means better potential, things like market size or profit. But for risk, and this is really clever, a higher score actually means lower risk. It covers things like how complex it is to implement. So what you're always trying to do is get the highest number in both categories. It just forces everyone to get on the same page and agree on a score for every single factor. Okay, so once all that scoring is done, you get to see the results visually. And this is where the magic happens, because it makes the best path forward feel, well, almost obvious. The first thing you see is called the Opportunity Attractiveness Map. It's pretty straightforward. You just plot each opportunity's final score for upside and risk. And boom, you get this immediate visual comparison of its potential versus, its drawbacks. This map makes the decision so much easier because it's split into 4 quadrants. And the ones you really care about, the clear winners, they're the ones that land in that top right corner, high upside and low risk. All of a sudden, the best choices just pop. They stand right out from the crowd. But what happens if a few opportunities are all clustered together on the map? How do you choose then? Well, for a more detailed, kind of granular comparison between those close contenders, you can use something called radar charts to really dig in. So let's take a look at an example, comparing 2 really strong options. This is where you get a much deeper, more crucial discussion going. So, you can see Opportunity Alpha has the highest upside, but it also comes with higher risk. On the other hand, Opportunity Bravo is the safer bet, lower risk, but also a smaller potential reward. This forces the team to have a real strategic conversation. Is the bigger prize from Alpha worth taking on that extra risk? Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about how you can take this incredibly powerful business tool and turn it into a personal strategy for your own success. Because this is definitely not just for big corporations. This quote from Stephen Covey, it's really the soul of the opportunity evaluation matrix. It's all about making sure that your energy, which is so precious, is spent on what actually matters, on the right things, not just being busy, but being busy with the wrong things. You can absolutely apply this same structure thinking to your own life. Think about it. Define what upside means to you personally. Maybe it's career satisfaction or finally learning that new skill. Then be really honest with yourself and assess the risks. Things like financial strain or the sheer amount of time it's going to take. Having a consistent, methodical process like this is what helps you keep a clear head when things inevitably get tricky. And here's something important to remember. When you do achieve your goals, you're not just creating value for yourself. You're creating it for everyone who is impacted by your success. So, after hearing all this, maybe it's time for a quick self-assessment. Just take a second and think. Which parts of your own decision-making process, whether it's for your career or your personal life, could really use more of this kind of structure? Where are you just going with your gut when a more methodical process would actually serve you better? And that really brings us to the final, most important question. Look, it's not about doing everything all at once. It's just about taking that first methodical step. So what is your first move going to be? What's that one thing you can do to start turning that overwhelming sea of opportunities into one clear, achievable goal? Because that, right there, is the key to creating your own roaring success.